Well, it's limited right now, but we actually struck an agreement with BC Hydro and in Vancouver, where Clayton and Madeline and Jennifer can access the hydrogen they need to drive and do the things they have to do, go to dance class, drive into the city, back and forth, and so we're excited. It's a first step, it's a small step, but we expect it to grow from here.
So how about the Toronto market? When do you think this vehicle will be available?
Oh, I think very soon. I think very soon. We're working on the infrastructure right now. I expect to see hydrogen stations popping up in the next 6 to 8 months.
How many are we looking at in Canada?
Well, it's hard to tell because it really depends on how quickly how many stations we put in place. The fact is we can bring as many cars out as the demand requires. Now, for the first 10 that we brought out, we had over 400 applications, so we know there's a latent demand for them, and we know that people want to make a difference in the world right now. People are looking for a solution that makes sense, and the fuel cell makes sense. The challenge you have with a battery-powered vehicle, its exclusive battery, is the range, right? You can only go so far, and then you have to recharge it for quite a long period of time. With a fuel cell vehicle, you don't have to change your driving behavior. It acts and operates just like a traditional gas vehicle from a consumer perspective. So you still have you go out there, you fill it up in 4 minutes, you can drive 420 kilometers. So that convenience is what's going to dominate, I think, the industry in the future for fuel cells over electric vehicles.
How many charging stations are we looking at across Canada, and what are the major cities we're looking at?
Well, there's quite a few actually that are out there, but the fuel station, the pumps that they have right now are at 350 bar, and we want 700 bars. So we're working on upgrading and producing those right now. But in Vancouver, we have 700 bars, so they're able to get the full range and the full enjoyment out of the fuel cell power generators they have back in Vancouver. We expect to see those in Toronto this year.
This year?
This year.
So, okay.
I'm in actually Hydrogenics at this year that closed down 2 years ago. Are you working with Hydrogenics, or are you working with someone?
We're working with a lot of companies, so I can't get into the specific details. We're looking at putting stations in our dealerships. We're looking at stations for our own headquarter facility, and we are talking to traditional gas stations about putting hydrogen fuel pumps into their facilities.
And what the price point we are looking at?
The price is going to vary. Right now, this is a pioneering phase, so everything is expensive, right? It's all economies of scale. So until we see the numbers come up, we're subsidizing the cost. Subsidizing the cost of the fuel and the vehicles, because we believe that's going to be necessary to get this ball rolling forward.
And how about the warranties on these cars? Hyundai always offer a better warranty.
Yeah, and it's the same. There's absolutely no difference. This is a Tucson, so you get the same benefits that you would with a traditional Tucson, except the only thing that's coming out of that tailpipe is water vapor.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
When do it become done, Kevin?
I believe we will have fueling capabilities by the end of this year, and we'll be bringing out the cars by the end of this year in Ontario.
So we will separate between the station or with the dealer?
We're in the process right now of bringing the stations to Ontario. So we're scouting out the locations. We're in talks with a number of companies that handle the infrastructure, and we're also in discussions with the standard gas stations, gas companies, about bringing hydrogen into Ontario.
The car will be available at all dealerships or only selected premium dealerships?
Eventually, it will be all dealerships. So right now, it would only be the few that we would designate. That's because it requires specific training and tooling to service the cars. But it is our plan to expand this throughout Canada. So beyond Ontario, beyond Quebec, every province, we believe that ultimately there's going to be 30 million cars on Canadian roads that are going to be converted to fuel cell.
My parents will spell it.
Not necessarily, but we are looking at that as an option. So we think it's a viable option. It's something we need to pursue. But we also have to ensure that we minimize the inconvenience for customers as much as possible. So we are looking at traditional gas stations to put in hydrogen fuel pumps.
How many fuel stations are there?
Right now, there's a number of them. They're not fueling stations in the traditional manner. So
precise number? I mean, where would would you be
because
going
there's a lot of companies that have hydrogen pumps that they use for forklift systems that are out there and for other industrial purposes. So there's actually quite a few, but the problem is most of them are 350 bar. We need 700 bar to get the full
the
range.
pressure that gets in there?
And right now, Jennifer and Clayton are in Vancouver near Surrey, where we have BC Hydro has a 700 bar station that they'll be using right near their home to fuel their car.
And you mentioned 400 people applied to become an owner of the Tucson. How many were fulfilled? Like how many of the 400?
Well, that was for the first 10 vehicles.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll be able to satisfy all 400. But right now, we just brought in the 10 vehicles that will be driving around Vancouver by customers. So these are the first customers, but there'll be more customers that are going to be driving the fuel cell vehicles. And honestly, as the hydrogen expands and as the infrastructure expands, we'll be bringing more and more over.
And is that 10 for 2015 or 10 for just
20
right now?
10 right now.
Okay.
No, I've got more coming.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have to get the fueling stations up and operational as quick as possible.
Question: how many are available in Korea itself?
You know, I don't know how many are on the roads. Quite a few. Not just cars, but buses. A number of different transportation vehicles are made by Hyundai for hydrogen. But we're in 15 countries across the globe. So we have them down in the United States. We have them out throughout Europe and throughout Asia.
In terms of your plug-in hybrids, will you support your dealers? How long is it going to take infrastructure to charge them? Charging stations?
Too long.
Yeah, we will. They're going to need that because obviously for the test drives and to make sure customers come in and they're fully charged and ready to go. So yes.
When will you expect plug-in hybrids?
Yeah.
You know, it'll be later this year. It'll be later. We haven't announced a specific date yet, but it won't be, I'd say before the next winter comes, you're going to see the plug-ins driving around Ontario.
So no official word on pricing either?
No, not yet. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Just confirm something. You said only 10 here?
Yes. Well, we're using one fueling station right now. All of our 10 customers are located around
That would make sense.
I was an early Prius adopter. I still have this. It's 12 years old. The batteries have lasted. No, second gen. When they first came out. Yeah, well, basically
We have same as our standard. How many vehicles are going to many of them just demand compliance. We make them on production, so we have implementations.
anybody's going to help take us there, it's those buildings.
We don't touch vehicles unless
This is the exhaust. It's a plastic exhaust. And so you put a car on a hoist, what's the first thing you notice is somewhat of a corroded exhaust pipe. You put this thing on a hoist, we look underneath it, and you've got a plastic. Absolutely. Right. So it is so fascinating, and you kind of get behind the wheel and you drive it. What I say about it is it's one of the most important. It's continuous to work, and we're for the standard.